Hello out there, everyone, and welcome back to Futsal News. We got a special guest with us today. It's Juan Galindo from Grand Rapids Ole, a name you may find familiar on the channel if you've been watching for a while. We do a lot with Grand Rapids Ole here. Uh, in fact, this whole channel was inspired by conversations that Luke and I had with Juan. And if you're wondering where Luke's at the moment, he's a little under the weather. So first and foremost, right out front, Luke, we hope you feel better, man. But Juan, thanks for joining us officially on the show. You've done a lot in the background, and now we finally got you in front of the camera.
Yeah, no problem. And it's great to be here. It's great to talk to you over YouTube instead of over the phone and in person. So,
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a little bit different vibe, but very, very familiar for us. If you guys are watching, this may feel a lot looser than usual because Juan and I have a lot of history, so it's gonna be more like friends talking together than anything. But we still got a ton of good stuff to talk about. We want you guys to be a part of that conversation. So make sure you drop a comment in the chat if you want to ask Juan something specific. But we'll be talking about a number of different things going on in Grand Rapids, including my beloved Ole here. So uh, first and foremost, Juan, why don't you tell us a little bit about how we met? Why don't you tell your version of that story?
I think it was the year of 2021, right after COVID. I really wanted to push to start streaming again, or not streaming again, to actually start streaming. And it went from trying to figure out how to do that, tried Facebook, and I think that's where we ended up starting out at. And then all of a sudden, people started just joining the chat, and one of those people ended up being Luke and Jake, and kind of being a little wary of who was real and who was fake, or who was looking out to get something out of it. You guys were really diamonds out the rough, like people can say. Just people who really cared about the sport and just had a real passion for it and wanted to see it grow anywhere and everywhere. And it just happened to be that we wanted to do the same, and our minds were all in the same goal and the path, and so we just clicked and we started getting together and figured a way how to get onto Twitch, and then now YouTube, and now again YouTube and Twitch. So yeah, I mean, from then until now, I mean, that's where we're at.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I think we ended up meeting in an 11 stream. So I think that would have been the 22
Oh
season.
yeah, yeah, that
you.
was 11. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys have been experimenting with a few different things. And then what inspired 11? Was that a league idea? Was that your guys' idea? Because I know a few teams were utilizing it.
Dang, man, I don't even know. Oh, you know what? I think Columbus Futsal was using 11. So shout out to Columbus Futsal. Yeah, I think Columbus Futsal was using 11, or one of the other teams was using 11, but I want to say it was Columbus Futsal. And I just looked up 11 because I was like, oh, if they're doing it, let me check it out. So I looked up 11. Then we ended up on streaming up on there. And then yeah, that's where we did meet. Yeah, it wasn't Facebook. Yeah, dang, my memory is a little hazy.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, yeah, it was 11, and I remember you saying, you being in the chat, and I responded saying that I was, the general manager of the team, and that you, I think you were I could hear your sobs through the texts, the comments of your Vulcans not being a team anymore.
That's right.
And I try to poach you. I poached you on to the Grand Rapids Ole and invited you out to a game. Got you out here for, I think it was the semifinals or one of the playoff games. And then and then you just I invited you to help out and to mod on the 11. Well, then we had, I think we've already moved over to Twitch because we already met and a couple more 11 streams later, we ended up meeting Luke, and Luke ended up helping us out and getting onto Twitch. And then you started helping out modding on Twitch, and then made you an honorary member of Grand Rapids Ole.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I remember us making the move to Twitch. Luke, knowing more than us on this stuff, was able to get us a better bit rate on there. There's just a lot of perks as far
Yeah.
as chat interaction and stuff like that that 11's still a little limited on. And then shortly after that, well, actually, no, it would have been the next season we went to YouTube, and the idea
Yeah.
behind that was Luke could extend beyond Ole and help the whole league, and if we centralized it in one page, we
Yeah.
could collectively get monetized. Which he's achieved that goal, which is exciting. We're
Yeah.
the first step there. Uh, so yeah, it's funny how all of that just stems from a random couple of people in a chat on 11 of all places.
Yeah, for real. Like I couldn't imagine. I mean, on a personal note, I mean, you guys have helped me, you know, in my personal life, and meeting you guys has definitely been way more important to me than just having you guys to help me grow old Grand Rapids Ole in the way we have. So thank you, 11. Shout out to 11 for making connections, I guess.
Yeah, right. No kidding. They're a networking channel and don't even know it.
Yeah, for real.
So there's a lot that you're involved in, and you work quite a bit with Fabian. And I know that it extends beyond the team itself that we get to see on YouTube. Tell us a little bit about your. Well, and I guess I should also say too. We've joked around about titles and stuff as an inside joke
Yeah.
that ties back to a mutual connection. But uh, tell us a little bit about your position now and what all you're doing to work with Fabian in Grand Rapids for futsal.
So I stepped down as director of operations from Grand Rapids Ole and became the general manager. Um, and then currently I'm still the general manager of Grand Rapids Ole, and then I actually was hired to be the director of a league that we started last year, and now we are in our second year of the league, called the Jingo Futsal Society League here in Grand Rapids. It's a league that helps us, our youth club, Grand Rapids Ole, to keep our clubs, you know, practicing and warming up for a lot of the regionals that we have, and nationals, and hopefully other tournaments that are growing as we speak. So I do. I'm also hired with Fabian for his School of Futsal business that he has, which mostly does coaching programs, personal trainings. Um, we also we host our leagues and then tournaments. We had a tournament that just passed back in December. And no, it was in November. Apologies. And now we have one coming up next weekend of 26, 27, 28 of January. That weekend, it's the Showcase futsal tournament. So if you guys are local, Midwest, check it out. I believe our registration is still open for a couple teams. We have a couple divisions we're still trying to figure out. So if you guys are trying to join, just look up Showcase Futsal or schooloffutsal.com, and you can find the link there.
Yeah, and those guys are also. I think all of these are on Facebook as well. So if that's
Yeah,
your
all of it's
preferred
on
search
Facebook.
engine.
Yeah, so GrandRapidsOle.com, schooloffutsal.com. You can. They're all pretty simple.
Give your thumbs a rest from scrolling through shorts and go check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that tournament coming up too, men's division there, adults divisions. I believe there's a cash prize for that as well.
Yeah, so we weren't able to get a lot of men's teams to sign up for this one. I think it was just a lot. I think they were scared that we were going to put in our men's team, so we were trying to put a ringer team in there. So kind of just, you know, a Grand Rapids Ole team, but I guess there might have been a little bit of miscommunication, and we weren't able to pull through on a men's division, but we will have a women's division though.
Oh, cool! Very nice.
So happy for that and excited.
Now, is the Ole women's team going to be a part of that, or is that are they out of that as well? The same way the men's were going to stay out of the men's league.
So we have some veteran women players from last year's team, but most of them, the new women's team that we have currently they're all young, like the high schoolers that we have, and they're going to be playing as their division team basically for their age group in that tournament.
Very cool.
So,
Now, is
but
this how many tournaments a year do you guys do through that? Is this like the big one, or
currently, we're looking to do three. We're on the second one here coming this week coming up, and then we want to do one more. We did a 3v3 tournament, so we also have smaller tournaments that we do. We have a local Hispanic festival that we have here in Grand Rapids, that the city throws, and we host one of those 3v3 tournaments at the beginning of the day, basically before the sun's beating on the kids outside. So we do that. That's the Hispanic festival 3v3 tournament that we have. And then we did a Black Friday tournament this year. And then I think we want to throw another one, but we really haven't put the work in yet to make it happen. But it'll probably be in March, I think we're thinking.
what kind of workload do you see putting a tournament like that together? Even with it just being local, I'd imagine the workload to get that off the ground is pretty intense.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Just for the fact of the experience that Fabian's has already, and it's just me kind of just learning his tricks of the trade. He's been through this many times, so it's just me just watching and picking up on like I said, the tricks of the trade. And you got to find facilities, find teams. Then you got to work out the divisions for how many teams that signed up. So not always a team that's going to sign up is always going to have a division to play in that's fair for them and competitive. That's a big part, because you want everybody to have a good experience when they come to any type of tournament or business of some sort. So the experience is a huge key that we're trying to create here. Just everybody being able to play at the top of their level, and with people that are at their level too, so they can make each other better, really.
Absolutely.
And then scheduling's a big tough part that I've had to kind of weave my way around and try and figure it out. A lot of dealing with a lot of other coaches' conflicts, player conflicts. Yeah, it's definitely not as black and white as it seems. There's a lot of gray in there too when it comes to the conflicts, because you try to make everybody happy, but then sometimes you got to put your foot down and just say, hey, do you want to play or you don't want to play? It becomes a super a guest service, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, stuff like that. Sometimes it's the classic, if you give a mouse a cookie, then it'll ask you for some milk, but you also want to make sure everybody's happy enough they come back. I imagine that's a tight line.
Yeah, I try to keep a smile on my face all the time. So I think that's what keeps them coming back. I'd like to think myself.
Well, I got to see a lot of the guys this past weekend at the regional tournament, which is hosted in my neck of the woods in Akron. Seen that coaching staff in action and seen your guys' organization. Is that a Fabian thing? What about it? His system and his coaching staff makes this thing tick?
Definitely his tactics. He's one of a kind mind he has, and just his strategy that he comes and he brings to the game. And then I think it's just a huge I want to say family. We really think of each other as a family, and we trust each other. And he's definitely a good leader in the sort of that he listens to when people have ideas and new things that they want to try. He's definitely one to cultivate his players and coaches. So not only do the coaches think think that towards him, it's definitely the players too. And what's crazy is that almost all his coaches he's coached before as players. And this year, what's pretty cool is I think it's going on sort of, you could say, like a third generation of coaches that he's cultivated from players to coaches. You've got Lito, he used to coach. when he was a player. Then he became a coach for us, and then a couple years later, then you have like Urbano's group, Urbano Romero, who was I'm pretty sure about like 7 years younger than him, and now he's a coach. And then now you have like a couple of our youngest players like Sammy and Cesar Martinez, and on the women's side, the women's team too, Leslie. They've all become coaches now too. So that's almost definitely three different age groups and about 5 year difference between each one. So it's almost a whole three generation of coaches he's cultivated. So I
That's
think
crazy
that's
to think about. I mean, you're basically looking at a alumni list when they walk down the hallway to the court. You know, there's so much
hmm
rich history from their time participating in those tournaments to seeing them play in the NFPL collectively. Uh, it's really cool, and I think that it's a testament to you guys and your culture of your academy, as well as a testament to your success that all these people hang around. And if anybody on the in the chat knows and follows futsal or even soccer in Western Michigan, it's a it's been a turbulent field of acquisitions and choking outs and competitiveness between different league owners and club owners. And through all of it, it seems like you guys have stood tall. It shows in the results. It shows in your longevity. You know, other than a name change, really not much has changed, and it seems like it's business as usual for you guys.
yeah. I think talking with our group, we this is something that we brought up a couple of times of like how how moving from the name of ABK and well before it was Grand Rapids Ole soccer, or we had an outdoor team. Then it was our futsal side of it was Grand Rapids ABK, the ankle breakers, and they were two different entities. And then uh, we folded Grand Rapids Ole soccer, and we just solely focused on Grand Rapids ABK, and we partnered up with a another company to help with their well Fabian did, and to help cultivate their outdoor side of it. And when we ended up moving away from and bringing back Grand Rapids Ole, it was something that we were missing, and that it was just able to spark this whole new just wave of joy, and it's like something that was taken away from us and that we got back basically. And I think not only us but the families that were with the club, they kind of felt it too, and they moved over to us back. They moved with us basically when we stepped away from the other company, and we were able to just keep cultivating it and keep the fire going. And we won a championship our first year for our men's, and kept winning for our youth teams. And you know, it's just last year was a little struggle on the last game that we had. Couple controversial calls during that game. But I think mostly we beat ourselves that last game. So we could be 2 years champs, but that's just sometimes how it goes. But that's the game. But yeah, like you said, I think everybody just knows that we're a family and everybody's got each other's back. We trust each other, from the families to the coaches, to the coaches to the families, to the players, to even the people who help and volunteer. Like myself, I the only connection I have with the youth side is just helping with School of Futsal and hosting the league, and that it. But I see these parents and players almost every weekend, so you know, I get to talk to them, and they feel a sense of trust with me, and I feel a sense of trust with them, happiness and joy, and just the love for the sport, and just seeing kids, you know, cultivate their skills and try and get to levels that they can succeed in their life. And you know, so it's a great thing what we're doing. I fully believe it's a great thing that we're doing.
It's really cool. And the other thing I'd say too is, for the most part, it seems like even when your guys' players or coaches do feel out other opportunities, whether it be arena soccer or whether it be helping other clubs with futsal, it seems like they never take more than 1 foot out of that Ole family, and are always right there and close by. Everybody speaks very well of that family culture and that tightness and closeness, um, and it shows in the way that, especially over this last weekend, watching the coaches run that tournament for all those teams that you guys brought to Akron. It was very organized. It was very clear that they walked in with a plan and were ready to roll, and push these kids in a positive way to get the most out of them, and they get the most out of the tournament. So I always think that's really cool. You guys have been consistent with that for as long as I've been watching these tournaments, which has been several years now, and it's really cool to see. There's a winning culture there too. It's not like you guys come in and yeah, everybody's a family, but it's really soft. I mean, there's a mission, and
Oh
that's to
yeah,
win that trophy.
yeah. We're here to compete. We're always there to compete. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're there to bring home trophies, whether we do or we don't. We're definitely there to compete and try to and then just do our best. And it just so happens we come home with some jewelry on the where we head back. So
That's right. Some necklaces, maybe a couple of cups.
hmm
So, kind of leading that into this coaching staff that still plays and is involved, the regular season has begun for NFPL. Uh, you guys are 2 games in, won both of them. Once against Detroit Imperial at home, and then you traveled to, I believe, Ann Arbor, correct, for a futsal factory.
yep.
Um, I just very interesting how the dynamic of the league has changed in just 1 year. We've seen a difference of 6 teams leave. So there's a much different look to the league, especially with now there's this geography challenge with the teams that remain. Talk to me a little bit about how that changes your guys' perception of what the goal is. Does it change the ultimate goal at all, or does it create challenges for you guys? What was kind of the thought process when you saw who was left?
Um, from a team standpoint, um, our goal is to win. That really never changes. It's to win as many games as we can. Stay undefeated. I think we always do pretty well at the beginning of the season, and then up until those tough road games. Usually when the winter's over, um, to keep a good roster going on those road games and uh, to keep to keep the momentum going like right at the end, um, to keep winning. Basically, that's always the goal for us. From a like business side of it, and looking at the league, it's it's kind of hard to figure out what the goal is there because we always want to grow, but we can only grow as much as the league grows with us. Nationally, kind of. We try to do and reach out as much as we can locally, and we do have a good a following, and we always have a nice packed house for where we play at a homeschool building. But for the league wise, and for all the teams leaving, it is kind of tough, a little discouraging. But we just like anything else, you try to do your best and try to keep as much as the momentum you can forward. Try and tell the other teams and just to stick it out and try and keep it going, basically.
What do you think was kind of the issue behind that mass exodus? I mean, you had some really talented teams that certainly gave you guys as defending champs a bit of a run for your money. Seeing Columbus beat you guys for the first time in a while, the final that didn't quite go our way. It's felt like the competition was solid. I wonder. I just wonder what your perspective is on why these teams might have stepped away, and how did it happen all at once like that?
Um, I really do think it was. I mean, just from personal personal logistics, kind of what we go through with our team. I think the finances is a big problem or an issue. I want to say problem, an issue. Uh, Definitely with some of the. It's really hard to try and keep keep a to keep selling something that's not so big yet, that that it's enjoyable, that it can compete, the sport itself can compete with basketball, football, on an international level. But when it comes to trying to sell it here in the States, it's kind of tough when soccer is just starting to make its footprint here, with a lot of the players coming, the international players coming here to play. The I mean, and I hate to bring up MLS, but like, because we like to keep it futsal here, but just in general, like, I think up until now, I really haven't heard the MLS being a retirement league. I think people now are just kind of just starting to forget about how old these players are that are here, and starting to realize, oh, they're still doing pretty much the same stuff that they were doing in the international teams, that are their club teams in Europe and over there, that they're doing here in the States. And I think they're just seeing the greatness happen, that they're just forgetting about the stigmatism of this is a retirement league. They're just getting wowed over, so they're just forgetting that it's a retirement league. So I think that's definitely one of our goals, is just to be exciting and enjoyable, that experience that I was talking about, so people can just forget about what it's like, the brand of like futsal, that they're like, well, what is that? As soon as they see a cool bicycle kick or how fast the game is, that they're just like, oh, I'm just really interested in this. And this, I don't even know what it is, but I'm interested in it. So I think that's the first step for us. But yeah, for other teams, I think it the same issues we had coming in, and usually we figure it out, but just the finances, the travel is a big thing. Getting people to a lot of our players, and I think I can speak for all the other teams, past and present teams, current teams that we have in the league, that they all have they all have jobs, main jobs, and it's hard to, if you get hurt. I play rec basketball. I have second thoughts when I get hurt during when I play, of like, ooh, I don't get paid for this. I need to focus on what I get paid for to support my family, support myself. So like I said before, it is definitely hard to keep that dream alive, of and motivate players sometimes to keep playing, to become a model to the next generation, to keep playing, and to just participate in a community. What else? Yeah, I think the traveling is a big piece too, because a lot of people just think just get in a car and head out. Well, we're right now, we're most of the teams are in the Midwest, and this is a winter sport, so you're traveling in the winter, so you got snow, bad weather that comes with that, and it's it's a morale dampener for sure when you win. It definitely kills the drive home. If you took a loss on the road and you got to drive at 8 p.m. at night in the snow or a blizzard, and you're just like, man, do I want to keep playing? Do I want to go to practice the next day? But yeah, so it's good when you're winning on the road, especially when you're taking that drive home. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for us. Is what the issues for us league wise. I think this year they did a pretty good job to try and keep the teams that stayed. They did a pretty good job on keeping us. I know at the beginning, since it was really kind of iffy what was going to happen with the league, just because so many teams had dropped out, what the division was going to be, or what teams were going to stay, and how they were going to be able to keep a competitive league together. We were thinking about either sitting out and focusing on other tournaments, like the one that's coming up in February, the Atlantic City tournament that they have, and then just getting a group of guys together, practicing, and then putting a team out there. We are going to that tournament too, so be on the lookout. I'm
Oh,
trying
all
to
right.
go, but I gotta talk with the wife first, the my general manager, and see
That's
if
right.
how it works out with the kids and stuff. And I would like to. I want to Twitch on our Grand Rapids Ole Twitch channel, and Twitch all the games, stream them so people can watch and tune in basically and support us online while we're out there. I know the guys really love it when I tell them that that people are talking about us online and social media. So it's definitely a morale booster for us.
That's something that came up with when Luke and I interviewed Josh Danza the first time we ever did this. It seems like, I hate to say back in my day because that makes me sound older than I am, although I am
I
old.
know.
I
I
will
just
admit
started saying it too, so to go ahead.
that.
We're good.
It used to be the trophy was the sole goal, or the medal was the sole goal, but now it feels like it's more about getting that Instagram shot with the trophy and being able to post on social media your successes that we've kind of been conditioned to do in our everyday life, than it is about actually winning the trophy. Would you say that carries some merit with some of the younger players on the team?
um, no, I don't think so. Uh, I think you see. Uh, we want the trophy. We want the title of being champs, whether it's one team or two teams in the league, or three or four, five, six, seven, eight. It really doesn't matter for us. We just want to win, whether it just be a regular game. We just want the dub. So I think there's been times where we've just been so tired from setting up the game, or just the game being super exciting, and we've just been exhausted that we forgot to post that we won. We were just happy enough to win ourselves, and so um, definitely I don't think I think the younger guys that we have are Cesar, um, Gabe, Sammy. Who else? We have our youngest player now, Boris. Um, yeah, I don't really see them have a real big presence on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or anything. I think the only thing that I usually see from them is just reposting or sharing a lot of the NFPL stuff that include them. But when we won, I don't think any of us really took pictures with the trophy. We just took the team picture, and that was good enough on the men's page, and we just shared all that. We all shared that picture. So I think,
I think
yeah,
it's a
I think
testament to
what
your guys' family dynamic there too with Olay, because it wasn't about any individual. Like, you guys collectively took that picture. Uh, everybody was in it, and I think that says a lot about what your guys' mindset and being a positive group is.
Yeah, we definitely win for Ole. There's no I win for myself, or I win for. I mean, you could. I mean, some might say I win for Fabian. I mean, that's just how much of an icon he's become over here.
It's like the
But
Godfather of futsal in Grand Rapids,
yeah, I would even say Michigan. Really,
Michigan. Yeah,
yeah, maybe even the East Coast. Honestly, I mean, he's definitely been a real big staple of. I know, don't quote me on this, but I do know. I think he has the first FIFA sanctioned, or Grand Rapids ABK has the first sanctioned FIFA sanctioned international game
Oh,
in
really?
the United States. Yeah, I think that's a true statement. We can
Wow.
fact check that later, but I think that's a true statement. Grand Rapids ABK played against a Canada team, and that was the first like FIFA sanctioned game,
Oh, that's really cool.
international game in the United States. Yeah. There's a lot of things that he. Uh, a little quick fact for Fabian: he's sometimes he could be very random. So when you're focusing on something and you're talking about uh, futsal in general, and he can just go on and on about players from any league, any futsal league in any country. He's a big he's a big fan of futsal in general, and any pro league that they have, and just any little small fact that he likes the details and things for sure. So
That's
I
so
think
cool.
there's a lot of just like one and two facts that he tells you, and you're just like, oh. I didn't know that. Thanks for
It's like
telling me. That's cool.
those Jeopardy questions of futsal that, maybe someday
Exactly.
futsal Jeopardy will get a couple points.
Exactly. Yeah.
As long as we're not playing against Fabian.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, comment in the chat from New Mexico Flagship. Uh, they've got some new signings coming in, including 2 national team players from Colombia and 3 coming out of the FUT7 World Champions roster. And it
Nice.
seems like I've noticed between them and their rivals Brusa and even Santa Fe that the recruiting out there is really aggressive. Um, with you guys kind of having that natural pool from the academy feeding you guys up, do you ever look outside of that at all? And have you found some gems outside of the academy that turned out to be really good fits, personality and player wise, with your team?
Uh, yeah, I'll touch on the on both. So first I'll start with like international players. So we do get hit up a lot too by international players like play who say some of them fact check out that they've played in pro leagues or semi-pro leagues in Colombia, Brazil. We've had some from Sweden, Finland, Germany. Oops, there goes my mic. Germany, as far as Australia. Um, yeah, we've had a lot of players, especially since we won the championship. And I think even prior to me taking over as general manager, a lot of people who reach out to try and play. Um, the main concern is just keeping what we have and as like an understanding of like what everybody's part in this is. I think we have star players, but I think within those star players, they understand that they play a part, whether it be coming off a bench or being role players. I think it might make sense and it might not, but like our star players understand that they're role players as well at the same time. That everybody has a part to play in Fabian's game and the Latican style that he provides, and um, it's kind of hard to take that risk when what we have is working so well. To invite a player out, especially because currently we don't have the finances to house or even pay a visa to get these international players to come and play for us. Not that we don't want it; it's just right now is not the time. But we do welcome any player who wants to come and try out. We usually host our tryouts in October. So any player that wants to make a trip to the States and come to good old Grand Rapids, Michigan, and try out for Grand Rapids Ole, you're more than welcome to. We'd love to host you and see what you got. But to comment on our local pool, personally, I was actually thinking about this the other day because we have other, like you said, that a lot of our players, play in other leagues, whether it be in other futsal leagues or parts of soccer, like indoor soccer, outdoor teams, semi-pro teams. That we have a lot here. Actually, we have. I guess I'll give a shout out to some of them. We have like the shoot. Now that I want to bring them up, there's running a blank. We have a lot of like USL teams. I think Michigan Rangers. I think it's the USL or MASL. Oh, MASL is a major arena soccer league. I'm not gonna say the leagues. I'll say
You
the
said
teams.
Rangers, right?
Yeah, Rangers.
It's NPSL.
MPSL. So we have like TJ plays for the Rangers.
Sammy does too, doesn't he?
I wanted to say Sammy, but I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. Basically, I'm getting it wrong. So I guess we'll say Sammy plays for the team, whether he does or he doesn't. Sammy plays for the team.
Credit. That's the problem. We can't even fact check him.
Yeah, Sammy plays for the team, and then I think there's I think that's it for the MPSL. But then we have another arena soccer league that we have, Muskegon Risers. I think that's the MASL 2 or 3, maybe. I'm not sure how many leagues they have. Muskegon Risers and like Cesar. a returning player from that we've had from 3 years ago, Cesar Alayo. He plays there, has a great career there. Mose Crawford, he plays for them. A player that we had last year, Alexis, he played for them, or he plays for them currently. And then we have a new league that came, I think, last year, which most of our team plays for too, which is the shoot.
Would that be Rapid City? You think an MLI?
Yes,
Yeah.
Rapid City, Rapid City Football Club. Yeah. So that I mean, for me to try and remember these teams, that's what I'm saying. There's so many that, and even they won the championship. I'm not gonna say it's because we had practically all Ole players, but there's something there. If you look into it, there's something there.
There's a common thread, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, but like I said, almost all of our players. I'll name a few. Just like he didn't come back this year, but like Chris Mendez, Sammy, Lito, Jair, who else? Frankie, Miguel, and even now they have a women's team now too. Oh no, that's another team. That's another team that has a women's team. But our women's players are playing in that league too, and it's just, it's crazy to see that in any league, Grand Rapids is winning. So it just goes to show like how much talent we have in Grand Rapids. So to look outwards, and if people want to come to us, we'll definitely watch them. We'll definitely, take in and see if they can stand up to our standard. But we have enough here already. Our players here and the community we have here in the soccer, we have talent. So we definitely don't have trouble looking, because it's here. It's right in front of us. So
definitely seems like Michigan is an underrated, for me anyway, and this is difficult to say as an Ohioan, but Michigan has a very underrated soccer scene in general. There's a lot of good in-market leagues going on, indoor and outdoor, and futsal. There's just a lot of good stuff going on in Michigan for the sport.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a true statement. Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad New Mexico brought that up, and we were able to kind of dive into that a little bit, because that's an interesting topic, and I think something that we will talk about some more in some future live streams as we start to set up our future guests and things. But I want to cover a few more comments here, Juan, from the chat. One is from Patrick. He says, hey guys, I recently have been appointed a manager of a Welsh futsal team. And we're in a situation where we can only have players and promote through the youth system that we're linked to. Education program and university. I read that wrong. Linked to an education program and university. The question is, how do you best find it is to promote on youth development and integrate it into your men's team?
Kind of what we just done in the past is, really right now, our it's kind of hard to get out the secret sauce. I know from Fabian's standpoint, if you can preach something and show that it works, people will. That's like, it's free advertising, basically, in a way. Like if from a youth standpoint, and getting your youth clubs to play the same way that your men's team is playing, and doing the same trainings, but just a little bit on a lower level, depending on the level of players, and everybody's winning, or everybody's, the product is working, everything will just fall into place. For instance, a lot of our, like I said at the beginning of, if you're going to rewatch this, at the beginning of the interview, just a lot of our players are our coaches now. And a lot of our coaches used to be our players as youth club players, and now they're our players for our men's team. And that kind of generates a good community too, because you have your coach. If I was a player and my coach is like, someone that I look up to, and I'm like, oh, he tells me, hey, we got a game, or I know from just in general, just like the weekly newsletter or email or whatever, saying, hey, we got a Grand Rapids Ole game coming up. My coach plays for that. He supports me. I'm gonna go support him. And it just grows that community in our youth club that we're just like, we want to support each other. So they come out and they see that, oh, hey, he was just telling me about that move, or hey, that's the play that we run, that me and my friends on my team run. And that's, to see it on a different scale or a different level, it's like, sometimes the kids are like, oh, we ran it better. Or sometimes they're like, oh, so that's how it works if we ran it correctly. So it definitely, if, as long as the product is working, things will fall into place, and it's basically free advertisement of you promoting your youth club and then trying to get your men's team to follow as well.
How do you guys continue to feed that youth club? Are you guys doing anything with schools, or is it just word of mouth? Since you guys have been around for a while, what kind of leads to that success in the numbers in your youth academy?
So from me being, like I said, I'm not really in the recruiting standpoint of that side. I think it's just word of mouth. People hear us, families, definitely. We're a big Hispanic like a team, sort of, in a way, with a lot of the directors of the youth club being Hispanic. So we can get a pull from a big Hispanic community that we have. And then just the notoriety of Fabian, I think people are just drawn to, like, oh, he's the USYF, a USYF national coach, and I think that helps out a lot. and then yeah, just I think it's a notoriety thing that people understand that we have a winning product, and they're just drawn to it. And let's not forget our family culture that we bring. I mean, if your reviews are 5-star, people are gonna look and be curious of why are we 5-star, and understand when they join that they'll figure out why we're top of the teams, basically, when it comes to futsal.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much for your questions. If anybody else is in the chat and has questions or comments, I see Ron Leedy in the chat as well, saying that all great players attribute futsal to their ability. So take credit for that Grand Rapids success. It's I would say absolutely, especially considering that for those of you that might have missed the beginning of the video, we were talking about how Ole's been around for so long in some way, shape, or form. It's certainly a bit of an institution in Grand Rapids. And I think it has a lot to do with it. Is a lot of people, I'm afraid, get into futsal for the wrong reasons and think, oh, I'm going to get into this trendy thing and make some money doing it. But the reality is, it it is still so young in its development. We still don't have that hard foundation yet. If you're in it for money, it's not going to work. You got to be in it for the camaraderie and the passion. And I don't think anyone is more passionate about their sport than futsalers are. And it certainly shines through with your guys' club, top to bottom, as well.
Yeah, I think it goes to show that currently we are the only futsal, just straight futsal like team out there. We don't have an outdoor team. Most teams have, an outdoor team first, and then they branched out to, like you said, I don't want to put words in other people's mouth, but like, yeah, that trendy sport of, I think the big thing that goes into that is that people still think, I mean, it can. I mean, just like anything, how some stories of how people put their kids in a ballet to give them footwork for soccer, for basketball, for football, or dance of some sort to give them the good footwork, but as a tool. And I think they're just trying to. Most teams who kind of fall short in to us, for sure, is definitely because they're trying to use it as a tool instead of focusing mainly on the sport itself of futsal.
I think that's the unique thing about it is I was very fortunate to be at the USYF regional tournament for the Great Lakes, which Ole participated in. It was hosted in Akron, Ohio. And we had some referees in town. I was working the event, and we had some referees in town from Montreal. And we had a conversation over a couple of age-appropriate beverages and said how how it's a tool and can be used for training for outdoor, but futsal could absolutely be a standalone sport if we could figure out a way to kind of get it there. And a lot of it is the stuff we've talked about already with you, Juan, is there's a bit of a financial gap right now as far as a national structure that can promote a truly professional league. think a lot of people think of PFL and how close that was to becoming
Yeah.
a reality. And here we are, what, 5 years later, and we're not any further along than when we started. So stuff like that, I think people saw a flash in the pan, and then when they realized how much more work needed to be done, ran away. But it seems like even in our region of CONCACAF, there's a lot of limitations, and I can't quite figure out why, considering the amount of love and passion for soccer that there is in all these countries. But not
Yeah,
only
it's
that, how this is kind of a more attractive form of soccer to the average American that thinks 1-0 or 0-0 is boring. Futsal is kind of the fix for that.
yeah, like I said before, it's a lot of. I mean, just even just running a league, it seems a lot of black and white of just why don't we just fund this? But everybody's got to make money. It's super political,
Oh yeah.
and you're gonna hurt if you're not ready for the conversation. It's gonna start hurting your brain. So it's definitely I think we've talked about this, me, you, and Luke. Of definitely, you have to want this. You have to want to
Yeah.
make your thing grow. I know I've had, fights with, the people that I love of why are you doing this? Why are you still, why are you sticking it out? You're not making any money. You're not, it's putting how come you're not coming to this birthday party? And it's like, well, because I believe in this, and from a personal standpoint, I want to create a legacy. I want to be a part of Grand Rapids Ole and create my name in here, and with School of Futsal too, of just like being there from the beginning and showing that we all had, being that part of collective perseverance that we all have of sticking it through and making this a thing in the United States, basically.
Absolutely. Another comment here from Patrick. First of all, he's thanking you for the great answer on the youth stuff and understanding that you're not in the recruitment side, but wants to kind of get your take on this. They heavily push analytics. In fact, his entire background is in performance and opposition analysis in football. And prior to a year ago, futsal analysis was something that had never really been done. So they tried to trial and error new ways of analyzing players. I would like to know what key indicators from your perspective you think are some of the most important pieces of data to track as we look ahead to uh, something that's very popular in very other sports, right? Is that whole data analysis, as controversial as it can be sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, it's it's hard. It's hard, like you said. It's super controversial because you've got players that are. I'm gonna go off and tell a little story. Me and Fabian argue kind of about this all the time because I have the mindset of and sort of examples of that. You have players who play other sports, like let's just say basketball, who play other sports, like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was a swimmer, a national medal winning swimmer before he started playing basketball. I think at the age of like 11 to 15 or whatever, he just started playing, and Hall of Famer, everything. Never, besides playing with his friends, never touched the basketball. So it's like he was a late bloomer. So you could have just looked at the analytics of him, being a swimmer and being like, nah, he wouldn't have been a good basketball player because he's never really touched the ball. But then, where does the analytics come in there when you're like, how does that work out? Joel Embiid, another one from basketball, never played basketball, and then he started playing when he was like 18, 17. One of the top players, last year's MVP. But for me, I always tell Fabian, like, I think if somebody has a good work ethic and is at least somewhat athletic, they can make it to certain levels and be able to play, and be competitive with other players. But Fabian is really on the point of no, no, they can't. If they haven't played soccer since they were young, and they don't have, they can't learn it. There's just some things they can't learn. The how would you say the IQ, for me it's just like I think for with futsal it has a real there's a lot of comparisons to basketball for me. But for me, basketball is my first sport. I learned to love futsal and still trying to learn to love soccer, but um, it's really really comparable for me because a lot of the movement. So when I talk to him, I'm like, oh no, dude, not me personally, but like I think somebody who plays basketball can learn how to play like futsal. I mean, they just have to practice every day, and with anything, you get better after practice. So, but yeah, Fabian's definitely a person who's just like, nah, they won't ever be at that level. They won't ever get it. So I think that's a little, I guess, on the inside joke between me and Fabian. But I think you definitely, I honestly, I don't, with the youth side, analytics is really tough because kids and their mentality, they can like it one day and not like it the next.
For sure.
It definitely there's definitely there's no motivation besides fun. And I guess it depends. Dude, analytics. There's so many variables. It's so tough to talk about it. If they're coming from a hard home, then there's the motivation of trying to get out. If they're coming from a rich home, there could be the motivation of staying in that environment, and keeping it up and not having to go venture out in something else. But I think the overall, if we're just talking analytics of looking at a player, they gotta want to have the love for the sport. That's definitely the baseline. Want to be better. You can see the self discipline that they have and trying to better themselves, practicing. They miss a shot, if they're staying after practice or they're focusing on that one shot that they missed and trying to hone in on, oh, okay, I have to kick it here to get it to hit the crossbar at that certain part so it drops down, or hit the ball so it spins. Okay, I didn't spin this time, let me hit it a little bit to the right and see if it spins now. Those kids, I think, definitely the ones that learn from their mistakes and want to learn from coaches or players or even from other sports and trying to evolve their game from other things, from just from being outside and seeing something crazy and be like, I wonder if that would work on a court, or I wonder if that would work in my game. That's definitely something you look at and you want to pay attention to, because these kids, man, I love being around these kids. They say the darndest things, or they do the darndest things, and I think you can attest to that, Jake, of just like being around the kids during the tournaments, and just even when they're just watching other teams play, just hearing what they're saying, and sometimes they become fans of other local teams or other teams that came and traveled, and it's like, yeah, but
I
yeah,
think of a good example of that for me is there's a young man in our academy that, I mean, just his work rate is high, and he never stops playing. When he's not at practice with us, he's at practice with his outdoor indoor team. If he's not at either of those, he's catching a Cleveland Crunch game. He's catching Cleveland SC in the summer, or Akron City. I mean, the kid is just addicted to soccer in the best way,
yeah.
and futsal in the best way. And he's someone I'm always rooting for, because I I really think, and I think it sounds like you and I might be on the same page of this compared to maybe where Fabian and say Otto would be at,
Yeah.
is like I see something in there that, man, when it clicks, and a kid with
Yeah, it's
this kind
just
of passion, he's going to be contagious. Like, everyone around
yeah,
him is going to love the sport that much more because he's got that energy, and I love that kind of stuff.
it's definitely a variable. I mean, for instance, you have, I don't want to bash the guy who asked the question, but most of the analytics people or the team managers for professional teams, they all play the sport. They just couldn't. It just didn't, either, whether it be political or it be their height or their physicality. They just couldn't play at the level that the sport wanted them to play at the professional level. Um, Everybody has the same love for the game if they're in it, especially at the pro level. So when you're talking analytics, it's definitely, I think you definitely have to find what you're looking for. If you're looking for a good player, you want to find what the basic average a good player does, loves the sport, practices, learns, and practices even more, and just has the winning attitude. Then that's what those are the key points that you look for. Usually in bad players, it's they don't practice as hard as the player next to them, or they don't show up to practice, or they don't show effort, or they're down talking and being disrespectful, and just yeah. So, but then also again, this is why analytics is so tough, because at the same time you have those diamonds in the rough who don't have to do anything, and they're just naturally gifted. And it's like to the person next to him who has to work 200% more than that person just to be at the same level, and they're just like, oh, what the heck? How'd you get so good? I don't know. I just kicked the ball, man. It just I know from personal experience, me playing recreationally at my local Y for basketball. Like I'm I like to say that I'm above average of the average basketball player here in Grand Rapids. But I grew up with kids who trained with Drew Neitzel, who used to play for Michigan State. I play with kids who currently train with Impossible, who's Michael Lancaster, who trains NBA players, and I'm beating them, or I have the IQ that I taught myself, or that I learned from watching the sport. Like you said, the kid that watched every Cleveland Crunch game or any game that's on, and from watching every NBA game, playing any NBA game that was out. I remember as a kid, I would play if there wasn't a game on. If there wasn't a game on, I know sounds pretty nerdy, but I would let the computers play against each other just so I didn't have to play and I could watch something, and I'd watch the computer. If we're talking analytics, I watched a computer play against another computer. Basically, two CPUs play against each other in a sport. So, and be like, oh, okay, that player or that computer did this. Okay, I'm gonna try that in my next game. So,
I think analytics certainly can be a component.
Yeah.
I think my lack of knowledge of it and how to farm that data is what keeps me away from it. But
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I give you a ton of credit for doing that, and the people who do, it can't be easy to compile. Where I would find it interesting, and I'm just guessing here, Patrick. I don't have any background in this, but getting the kids in, and maybe you find out how they would act best with their passion in a certain position. Or are they a more efficient passer than the other players with the right or left foot? Maybe decides which ala position they're in. If they're physically strong, and you find that the analytics are saying these guys are stopping more attacks than the others, maybe they need to be your fixo. I don't know, something like that. But certainly a component, but maybe not a end all be all, of course. But certainly could have its spot. I'm just not sure how I would personally utilize it. But I will say, and this makes me smile, because this was the whole point of us starting this YouTube channel, as a place to network. And there's a guy in England that does this kind of stuff, and he does analytics. He shared some videos with me before. I know his Twitter handle is at the GFC_TV, and his name is Mark. So Patrick, if you want to message me afterwards, my contact information is in the description of the video, and I can try and working up an introduction between you two if you find that interesting. So this is good. This is the kind of stuff that I want this channel to do, is get those kinds of like minds together and build a better foundation for futsal, and have a community space. And on that topic, if any of you guys watching want to be a part of that community, we do have a Futsal News Discord channel, and a lot of the folks are there. And even just recently, we had someone joined strictly because they want to learn more about the sport. They've heard about it and they want to learn more. And started poking around to find a home for that kind of thing, and we're hoping we're
It's,
providing it. So
it starts with
uh,
one.
that's right. It only takes
Starts
one.
with one.
So Juan, for the men's team, we've worked on some cool stuff together. We've done, of course, the streaming bit, and Luke and I have been a mod for you before, uh, and then that of course evolved into the best pregame show in the NFPL, which is How to Game. It's the only pregame show, but it's the best pregame show. So I've had a lot of fun getting to know the guys and watching the team grow, even just over these last couple of years, a little more intently, knowing that I could produce something for you guys out of it. It's been a ton of fun, a lot of hard work, but definitely worth it. Um, Looking ahead and thinking about that, what's the mindset this year? And with the league set up the way it is, if there is that Southwest versus Midwest final that has kind of been rumored, what's your expectations? What's obviously winning, but what is kind of the overall expectation of what the competition is going to be like this year for the guys?
Um, I think it's going to be the same. I think pretty much all of the teams I think we've already played the newest team, which is Detroit Imperial. Um, so I think it's all, we were able to come out with the win on that one. So I think it's pretty much going to be the same. We're just going to go out there and have fun and play our best game that we can play and hopefully come out with the dub. And if so be it, we keep winning, we're gonna win a championship. And if it does become that we have to figure out a way to go and travel out to the Southwest, or they come to us, or we meet halfway. We welcome the challenge. We're gonna come the same thing. Have fun. Hopefully, come out with a dub, and hopefully a championship too. If there's gonna be some sort of trophy with that. But definitely, I think if they do that, I hope the league takes in mind that it will be an issue for both teams. I'm pretty sure that with the financial side of getting to the location. So
Yeah, that's the interesting thing too. Is you look at a league that has very traditionally only been in the Midwest of the United States and has had at most, I think, 5-state footprint, and then last year, kind of in the final hour, as a matter of fact, the league had already started in the Midwest. The Southwest division's announced. Um, that's a pretty big gap in the map, but doable if teams are aware that that's a potential expense. I will say, and I've said it before, I think one thing that the Southwest division does really well is funding. They seem to push a lot of sponsors. You see the new team Santa Fe Gloom had
oh yeah, I saw they had
whole
like
commercial set.
a 40-minute commercial. I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah, that was awesome. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go buy a Kia in Santa Fe. That's all I know for sure.
It looked legit. I'm not gonna lie, it looked super. I know it's legit, but I mean, it looked like TV network status of like you're watching your local or your state team basically, like, and then all of a sudden, come down to Rodeo House and buy a car, So it was pretty sweet. It was pretty sweet to see it and to see the league grow, or even some of the teams be able to pull the funding and then the support that they could. So it was awesome.
Do you think this is going to be a two-part question for you? And we've talked about it before, but I'm just curious how it's changed with the addition of these teams. Is how often are you talking to the other teams, and what kind of best practices are you guys trading, if any? Or is it kind of just everyone's running in their own lane and focusing on the competition itself?
Teams, you mean as in like teams in the league?
Yeah, like are you talking to the other GMs? Are you talking to Brusa? Are you talking to Santa Fe, Detroit Imperial, these guys?
Mm, Not necessarily reaching out to talk with them. For sure, never really reached out. As in like business wise, I guess I could say, of like how teams run their business or run their team, or how they're growing. I think I had a brief conversation with one of the Detroit Imperial coaches slash player. Not sure what his role is besides being a player on the Detroit Imperial team. But he seemed like we had a good talk about like just in general of trying to grow from we seemed about the same age, of trying to grow and trying to keep the futsal community, especially with they like to say the old head mentality of keeping secrets to themselves and not helping each other grow, of trying to help each other out, and kind of like what you're saying of talking with each other and just trying to make this whole league or these teams grow together, um as the new generation. But yeah, for your first part, the only conversation I've ever had with any other teams were probably the ones that you were involved with, of just trying to get this streaming, everybody streaming, to get everybody to, on the same page of streaming at the least. I think we had help from, his name slips me, but the one from Columbus Futsal, we were working with him, and then I think it's
Brian.
Brian Reese. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think with Columbus, I remember talking with Dante about how they wish they had a Juan, which everybody does.
Yeah, of course.
Somebody who would drop on a dime and help you push your car out the snow, basically. And then Ludwig Media. I know he was a guy that we all talked to too, and try and get everybody, just the word out. Matt with the league, just concerns of the communication, of helping us understand how, like, decisions that the league was making, and the expectations that they wanted from us, even though sometimes the league wasn't giving back as much as they could have, and the return that they wanted. No, but I love having those conversations with anybody. So if anybody's watching and they want to reach out to Grand Rapids Ole, or even me, my personal page, and talk about this type of stuff, I'm more than willing to. And I'm a great listener, and I'm a great student, people say. So definitely love to get a different point of view, basically, of what I have. So
absolutely. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it, and watching. I think we're really fortunate that the Southwest teams joined when they did, because they're certainly doing it a little bit different than we've watched the Midwest do it for several years. It's a fresh perspective for us. Maybe they're getting a fresh perspective the other way. I don't know, but it's interesting how the dynamics have shifted. It's kind of more of the same the last few years, not counting the COVID year, as far as how business is handled within the league, it seems, or at least it feels that way from an outside perspective, and for me as a fan. But at the same time, the field that stuff is happening on is vastly different, in the sense that now we're reaching out west and all this cool stuff.
Yeah, I think even with just this West division, you can show the growth at the league, even though we're not the league's not financially where it wants to be, or even getting the look that it wants to have from supporting groups, of like having the funding, sponsors or anything towards the league. I know the league from the beginning. Again, don't quote me, but when I first started helping out Grand Rapids ABK, it was Fabian who owned the league at first, and then he sold it, I think, and then Ducks and Ubusuku took it over and changed it to the, because it used to be the it's the NFPL now, and I think it was the NPFL prior, and they changed it to the NFPL to what it is current. And it's always had 4 or 5 teams, and now we have how many? 6 teams right now.
I think you're up to 8 if you count everybody out west too.
Okay, so 6 teams in the Midwest, and now we have a West Division. So I mean, there's something there that that the league's growing at least in some sort of way. So that's 4 or 5 years later. What's to come in the tomorrow? What's to come in the next year? What's to come in the next 10 years if it's still here? What's to come in the next 5 minutes? So
Right.
things change in a snap. So I'm definitely that's why I definitely have the mentality of sticking to it, sticking to my perseverance and grinding it out, helping what I can do with my team, making sure my team can participate and just try and wait it out. I know
Another
it's
thing
gonna click. I know it's gonna click. So
it it has to eventually catch fire, right? I mean, I feel like we keep hitting the flint with the steel, and we keep seeing signs of life. We see smoke, we just haven't seen that fire yet.
yeah.
I noticed this is this will tie back in. I just kind of want to get your take on this because we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. But recently, the MASL took two teams with Keith Tozer to like a coaching seminar, and they did a game between two of the better teams in the MASL, and it turns out it was on a futsal court. What do
Oh,
you
I
think
didn't know that.
about MASL and where they're at today, and if that could be a catalyst for futsal?
Um, I'm not really familiar with Major Arena Soccer League, but I am familiar with some of the people who are involved. Um, just because of how, like, with Keith Tozer being involved with the USYF and all that. So I think definitely there is going to be a pull to. I mean, there's got to be a reason why they pull these futsal players to play in the league, or that the players that are in the league played futsal first, or they came from a legitimate like futsal club. So I think for right now, the MASL, I would like to say that they're kind of using it as like their like youth program. Basically, they see the talent that these guys are having, and on the futsal side, and they're able to bring it to the arena, basically arena soccer league. I mean, it goes to show for us how our Ole players are the stars on their arena soccer league over here on their team. So, um, yeah, I'm really too unfamiliar with to really have a real comment on that. Besides of just good futsal players make great soccer players and great arena soccer players.
Absolutely. I think it goes back to the fundamentals of futsal. It's so applicable to everything else, every other practice of the sport. I'll call it, whether it be outdoor, arena, I mean, hell, even beach a little bit. I guess you could say. Just having that touch on the ball, knowing how to use every part of your foot. I think that's all super important. Um, One last thing I want to ask you. It's my keynote question every time, as you know. But if if you were in charge of futsal in the U.S. today, whether it be the NFPL or just in general, what's the first thing you would change to advance the sport in the United States in a positive direction?
Let me think about it. If I was in charge,
First of all, you'd get a raise.
for sure. But who's funding it? So how
There
big
you
is that raise? Um, like I said, I'm the general manager. I was the director of operations, and now I'm the general manager. Um, I think I would definitely just go after funding. I think the talent's there, and I think the people are just waiting for it. So I think it's definitely just finding people to fund it, and no matter, obviously it's got to be clean money. So just looking for people to fund it. Basically, I think I would put all my eggs into marketing, because the talent's there, the excitement's there. It's always going to be there. I definitely would put all my eggs in the marketing side, and that's how I would run it, basically, just to get as many eyes as I can on it, because I know as soon as they see it, they, as in being the public or the United States or whoever it may be, they're gonna get hooked. As soon as I got hooked watching it, everybody else is gonna get hooked.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking too from the perspective that you're not really much of a soccer fan, and then to get sucked into this, I
No,
mean, I think
yeah,
that says a lot.
yeah. I got sucked into futsal more than I did soccer. So I think what really kills it is the whole. I guess another little funny story that I a little I opinion that I have is Americans love football. If a little, I think it was a joke I heard, but it was from a comedian. But he says he or she said that Americans don't at the time they don't really like soccer because it's super boring. You know, a team ties 1-1. They win 0-1. They win 0-2. But if you change the scores, the amount of a score is valued at, and let's just say change it to 6 or 7, um, a game could be 14-0, 7-0, 21-0. That's still only 3-0, 2-0, 1-0, and those are the scores that you get in American football and the NFL. So I I mean I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny when that opinion came across to me. I kind of kept it for myself too, because when people ask me how do you get into soccer? How do you like futsal? For futsal, it's because of the pace. It's a lot faster than soccer. It's a lot more back and forth. So you're not just standing there waiting for the ball to get crossed, and you're watching it go like this, and you're watching it come back. It's literally just like boom, 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 and again, and the score can go from a team could be down 6-0, and with a rule like the six foul shot, if a team's in the bonus, that score can go to 6-6 right away. You know, it could definitely, it's a real. I think that rule itself is a huge dynamic in the sport of making it super exciting, because then you got teams that are just like either letting a person pass them because they don't want to make a silly foul, and all of a sudden, the penalty, an easier shot is taken. So it's like I said, if I was in charge of futsal in the United States, I'd definitely put all my eggs in marketing, because I know that the talent's there and the excitement's there. So that you just need eyes on it. Really, you just need the people to see it.
When I think now more than ever, we're in a position to properly market and kind of do that back end work to the marketing of finding sponsors and that kind of thing. Um, we got some behind the scenes from Luke in the NFPL Discord. Actually, he shared the YouTube Studio analytics with us from the league. We have over 7,000 views in this last month, opening up the season. Nearly 500 watch hours of people watching our games in the NFPL. The sub count, which historically always goes up once the league's back up and running again, is strong. Um, People are starting to find this thing, and it could be really, really exciting if we could put some money behind it and kind of grow it to that next level.
Yeah, I think I could speak to, especially with me and Fabian talking about trying to grow Ole in general, our youth club, and then our men's team, and just getting an eyes on Grand Rapids Ole and the School of Futsal is definitely um, the videos, and putting little short videos out, like TikTok link videos, and just getting it out to a whole new, like, just like I said, marketing, just getting it out to a whole new audience. People see it, they like it, they want to see more, and they'll follow and they'll watch, and definitely I think that's just like what you're saying, like how Luke said, like every year when the league comes back up, you gain new followers because new followers are coming in and watching it. So
Absolutely. Ron Leedy in the chat again said it would be good to get a broadcaster or streaming contract that pushes a game of the week and sponsors to help pay for equipment to be moved around to those games. Need at least 4 camera angles for the games, make it look a little more professional. Paraphrasing a little bit of what he's saying there, but I agree. That was something that in my beloved Akron Vulcans' very short history, we had a media team that we'd hired out. I say we, I wasn't part of the organization. They had a media team that was hired out, and they had that multiple camera angles. So they would pan a camera onto the crowd. We had a camera behind each goal for goal highlights. There was a main camera. There was an announcer. that was on the stream, and then we had a PA announcer inside the building as well. And it was kind of that fake it till you make it mentality of we're going to make this look as
Exactly.
professional as possible, and we want to pursue this as if it was truly professional. And it caught fire. And if it wasn't for COVID kind of shutting everything down and pulling the rug out from under us, I strongly believe that the Vulcans would still be around. And between us and the work that Juan has done in Ole, we could definitely see that banner carried a little taller and prouder and higher, because we could point to some professional looking streams and say, hey, look, it can be done.
Yeah,
Is,
that's
is what's
that,
that one?
that's
Sorry.
that's definitely my motto in some sort too, is a fake it till you make it. So I definitely bought my gimbal to give us, and then I get everybody's. We're able to use. Luke was able to provide us a program called Bot Ninja. Shout out to Bot Ninja because they do so much. They help us globalize this so much.
Yeah, no
um,
kidding.
we we're able to have at least 3 or 4 camera angles from just iPhones. Just from your phone. So I bought myself a gimbal, and I give that on the court view, and that's definitely something I know that we have different from all the other teams. That we definitely have more camera angles, and then we have an announcer, and then in the past, shout out to big rude boy Rudy out there. Um,
Yes.
uh, that he just brings as an announcer and a commentator, he just brings a whole new face to the game too, and
He
sound.
he brings a massive energy. I mean, it's
Yes.
unfortunately we haven't had Rudy for the last home game you guys had, your home opener, and you can tell the difference on the stream. I mean, he definitely brought a contagious energy into the crowd. You guys do something that's really unique, that when Rudy's on the mic, it's piped through the building too, not just on the stream,
Yeah.
which I think makes you guys unique. But the thing I really appreciate about Rudy is when he hears the crowd getting loud, he turns himself down and lets the crowd take over and doesn't interrupt that energy. And I think
Oh,
that's very easy to get tunnel vision and not catch that. And he does a fantastic job of being aware of how the crowd's reacting to him and to the team and what's going on with the main product on the court. And it goes back to that family atmosphere. It's not about any one individual, it's about Ole. So when the Ole family gets loud, Rudy turns that thing down a little bit and lets them run the show, which I think is really cool.
yeah, we listen. That's what we do.
Right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the stream tonight. We could go on for hours and hours. Like I said, Juan
Uh,
and I know each other very well now, and we have off stream. We should have streamed all that, but
yeah,
although we might be
basically.
in trouble, some of the stuff we talk about. But
Yeah.
if you guys want to see more of this, feel free to follow along. Uh, Instead of asking the typical YouTube questions of liking and subscribing and all that stuff, what I always encourage is, if you guys are enjoying this content, please check us out on Discord. There, we like to share a lot of links to games, whether it be domestic games here in the US. We follow some international leagues as well. And then there's a lot of people there that want to grow the sport and have a passion. So if that's what you're looking for in the networking opportunity, check out the link in the description of this video, and you can join us at Discord there. We're going to have some other really cool guests on this year that I already have lined up. So we'll be doing a little bit more with some NFPL teams. And then just in time for the CONCACAF Futsal Championships, we're going to go outside the borders of the United States for our next guest after that. So get ready for that too. Little juicy teaser for you guys for what's coming for the months ahead.
Yeah. Can we hear a name? We have a name in there.
We got a couple names floating around. We got a couple.
Oh,
Let's just say I did some work at the regional tournament this last weekend to try and up the game around here a little bit.
nice. No, and like I just before we get off, I just wanted to say, well, first and foremost, go check out Grand Rapids Ole on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, School of Futsal on all this on School of Futsal on Facebook and Instagram. But I just want to congratulate Jake from us just talking in 11 Sports chat to talking with just me, you, and Luke, and a Facebook message or a Discord message of just like how much we love futsal. And now look where we're at. Look where you're at. You're talking from just people that we've know or networking from each other, my friends to your friends, and now you're talking to people. Dude, how crazy this sport can just the community that it provides is. We just had a comment from a dude from where'd you say he was from again?
Wales.
Yeah, Wales. I mean, come
And
on
it's
now.
late there, by the way.
Exactly. So, dude,
Patrick's burning the midnight oil, which I love. Thanks for
yeah,
tuning in, man. You're sacrificing big time for this.
it's amazing. It's amazing what networking and what showing what being happy and showing being enjoyable and exciting what it can bring you. You know. So I'm just congratulations. I love to see my friends grow and do things that they love, and I love seeing your smile every single time you do it live, or even just a video, or even just a short that you put out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's because of you guys, encouraging me that this was the right thing to do that we're here. So it's part of the family that is extended from Olay to behind the scenes here, and we're happy to do it. And guys, just like Juan said, make sure you follow along with Grand Rapids Ole. You can follow this channel to do that. We'll do the pregame show. It'll also air on the NFPL's channel before all their home games, so you can keep an eye out for that there. I've made following Ole very easy. All you guys have to do is go down to the description. I have all their social medias linked as well as their website, and then I have the School of Futsal information there as well. So go check them out, guys. Please support Grand Rapids Ole. And until I hear from you next time, don't forget to play with your soul.